I'm your host, Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Podcast. Tonight's podcast is 7 ways why politically incorrect inspiration destroys politically correct programming. Politically incorrect inspirations energizes energetic liberation at its rawest form that is authentic articulation that dissolves politically correct programming. Inherited desperation, emotional sabotage, and soul deep tattoos that keep your life running on outdated scripts. When you stop filtering your authenticity through your social obedience, your inner landscape finally gets the shockwave it requires to break free from generational limits. See, most of the stuff we have inside us is inherited, but it controls today's surface programming. Politically correct program trains you to stay small, agreeable, and emotionally appropriate. The perfect breeding ground for inherited desperation and silly sabotage to thrive. Yet politically incorrect inspirations cuts through the conditioning with unfiltered clarity and audacious audacity. It exposes the emotional illusions you've been bowing to, cracks open the generational codes you've been carrying, and dissolves the reflexes that were never yours to begin with. This is where emotional tattoos lose their authority. This is where sabotage loses its camouflage. This is where inherited desperation stops dictating your destiny. As politically incorrect inspiration hands you back your voltage, your voice, and your sovereign signals, the exact frequency required to rise beyond the emotional program that kept you compliant, cautious, and controlled. When truth stops being polite, your life stops being predictable. And that's where liberation begins. Why politically incorrect inspiration illuminates your paths of enlightenment, chauffeurs you on to your trails of triumph, gliding you on to your beaches of bountiful blessings to sit quietly and luxuriously in your lazy boy of life, liberating internal freedom every day. 7 high-frequency, sassy, classy bullet points. Politically incorrect inspiration slices through polite illusion and lights up the path your intuition has been whispering to you about for years. It's the path of clarity, courage, and sovereign direction. And the SEO magnets of intuitive activation, clarity, and individual sovereignty. Politically incorrect inspiration breaks the emotional obedience reflex that kept you stuck in inherited limits, freeing your inner compass to guide you toward triumph instead of trauma. Politically incorrect inspirations ignites your imagination with unfiltered authenticity, coloring your scenarios into a technicolor playground where innovation flows like the sunlight on open water. As politically incorrect inspiration dissolves emotional allegiance to outdated identities, clearing the runway for your trendsetter talents to take off without turbulence. As politically incorrect inspiration exposes emotional sabotage for the imposter it is, showing you the clarity to choose triumph over repetition every single time. As politically incorrect inspiration wires your inner script out of survival mode to sovereign mode, magically opening dreamers' extravagance. gliding you toward opportunities that feel like beaches of bountiful blessings. Politically incorrect inspiration hands you back your voltage, your voice, your visionary spark, the exact frequency that magnetizes success, joy, and sun-splashed expansion within you. Why politically incorrect inspiration dissolves inherited desperation and emotional sabotage. Politically incorrect inspiration breaks the obedience reflex that's inherited. Desperation depends on inherited desperation, survives through silence, politeness, and emotional compliance. As politically incorrect inspiration disrupts that entire ecosystem by refusing to bow to the generational fear codes we all encompass. When authenticity stops tiptoeing, emotional sabotage loses its camouflage, and SEO magnets break generational cycles. And emotional liberation and ancestral trauma, and it opens up scenarios of liberation. Its raw, unfiltered clarity exposes emotional sabotage as inherited programming, never personal failure. See, that's something, it's all inherited programming that controls our fears and keeps us safe in our trauma and drama. Politically incorrect wisdom cuts through the sentimental fog that protects the old wounds, names the patterns and calls out the lineage, and unveils the sabotage for what it is, inherited, rehearsed, and outdated. Once it's exposed, it dissolves. Unapologetic authenticity wires your inner script from your inherited script from inherited desperation to sovereign direction. When you stop performing emotional appropriateness, you stop reenacting ancestral limits. Politically incorrect inspiration allows you the fortitude to be direct, decisive, and sovereign authored. The exact frequency that emotional sabotage can never survive. Why politically correct programming is emotional allegiance, emotional snapshots, soul tattoos, and ancestor programming, stalling you out in yesterday. Politically correct programming trains emotional allegiance to outdated identities that keep you loyal to yesterday's limits. PC conditioning teaches you to stay agreeable, appropriate, and obedient. The perfect setup for emotional allegiance to old wounds and old versions of yourself goes away yesterday as you rise onto hearkening your sovereign signals. You keep you reenacting emotional history because programming rewards compliance, never clarity. Politically correct behavior activates emotional snapshots that replay old emotional weather instead of present moment authenticity. That's happened to me many times where the emotional snapshot takes over and I go right to the snapshot the day that entered my life. Especially when you meet people or you've met people and you had kind of an unsavory event. As soon as you see them, you go into that emotional snapshot until you realize it has nothing to do with them and has everything to do with you. I know it did me. Every time you censor yourself to stay appropriate, you trigger the same emotional freeze frames of your lineage rehearsed. You never stop responding to now. You're reenacting to the past. PC programming keeps your nervous system looping outdated emotional weather, stalling your rise in the same storyline. As politically correct conditioning strengthens soul tattoos and ancestral programming that script your reflexes before awareness arrives. PC culture reinforces inherited limits by teaching you to prioritize harmony over honesty. Those deep lineage imprints, the soul tattoos, get activated every time you silence your authenticity. Instead of evolving, you keep performing ancestral scripts that were never written for your becoming. While politically incorrect inspiration energizes free-flowing, colorful imagination, pristine intuition, inventor innovation, unleashing your trend-setting talents that chauffeurs you onto your seashores of the fun of the sun's splendor. Politically incorrect inspiration liberates your imagination from polite, beige, culturally approved thinking. When you stop censoring your creativity to fit appropriate norms, your imagination stops coloring inside the lines and starts painting the galaxies of your genuine audacity, loving life, appreciating the exhilarating internal ecstasies of you. Politically incorrect inspiration unlocks the vibrant, free-flowing technicolor ideas that politically correct programming suppresses. Unfiltered authenticity clears the static that muffles pristine intuition and intuitive genius. Polite thinking clutters your inner signal with second guessing and social obedience. Politically incorrect inspiration wipes that interference clean. Suddenly, your intuition is crisp, pristine, and your insights are sharp as your inner inventor wakes up with blueprints for brilliance in your lavish desired lifestyle. Rebellious clarity ignites your trendsetter talents and propels you toward a life that feels like sunsplash freedom. When you stop performing emotional appropriateness, you stop dimming your originality. Politically incorrect inspiration electrifies your visionary voltage to innovate, initiate, and be the leader of your life. That's what chauffeurs you to your personal shoreline of fun, freedom, and sovereign splendor. While politically incorrect inspiration dissolves unrealized sabotage of motivation, politically incorrect inspiration exposes the hidden emotional contracts that quietly drain your motivation. Motivation never fails, it just gets hijacked by unspoken loyalties to fear, politeness, and inherited limits. Politically incorrect inspiration breaks that spell by naming the sabotage directly, and then when truth stops tiptoeing, the unconscious agreements of your politically incorrect inspirations that did stall you were your drive lose their power. Raw, unfiltered clarity disrupts the emotional snapshots that keep you replaying and playing in the thoughts of failure before you even begin. Those freeze frame memories of not enough, not ready, and don't try run your motivation like background software on your computer. They're kind of like a bug in your computer that wipes it out. That's kind of what these are. Politically incorrect inspiration interrupts the loop with bold, unapologetic, authentic audacity. It snaps the emotional deja vu and frees your system to act now and stop from never from yesterday. Rebellious authenticity dissolves emotional allegiance to outdated identities that sabotage your momentum. Motivation collapses when you're still loyal to the version of you built for survival instead of expansion. How do you see that in your life? You're built for, you think you're moving forward, but you're actually built for survival instead of expansion. Politically incorrect inspiration gives you permission to break rank, break the pattern, and break character so your motivation feels, so your inspirations finally align with who you're becoming, never who you were trained to be. See, that's the thing. We've been trained to be what? Servants. And see, something else, you move out of motivation and rise of inspiration, you'll stop falling back into the patterns of the past. Why politically incorrect inspiration destroys cognitive recollections and past parent programming. Politically incorrect inspiration disrupts the polite mental loops that keep replaying outdated cognitive collections. When you stop filtering your truth through social obedience, your mind stops recycling the same stale narratives. As politically incorrect inspiration snaps that mental spell of "this is just who I am" and replaces it with sovereign clarity. This is who I show the world to. And you get on your Mustang and you ride through the world uninhibited and unrehearsed and free. Unfiltered authenticity exposes the past programming as inherited scripts, never as authentic veracity. Politically incorrect inspiration refuses to bow to the emotional etiquette that protects old wounds. It calls out the programming, cracks open the conditioning, and dissolves the cognitive recollections that keep you loyal to yesterday's identity. Rebellious clarity now wires your inner operating system so your sovereignty overrides the history of your past and all your buried human BS in your parents' history. Politically incorrect inspiration gives you permission to think beyond the past, feel beyond the past, and choose beyond the past. It destroys the cognitive recollections that once dated your reactions and replaces them with a sovereign author direction. While politically incorrect inspirations energize your innermost moxie and electrifies your physical cosmic celebrations. Politically incorrect inspiration awakens the raw moxie buried beneath the polite conditioning. When you stop filtering your authenticity through cultural correctness, your inner voltage surges and shows your unlimited rebellious gumption, energizing your sovereign savvy. That unfiltered spark activates courage, charisma, and creative fire, the exact moxie that polite programming suppresses. Rebellious clarity ignites your physical cosmic circuitry, turning your body into a celebration of liberated energy. Politically incorrect inspiration bypasses mental clutter and plugs directly into your somatic signals. Your body lights up, your intuition sharpens, and your energy field expands. It's never motivation, it's ignition of your talents. Unapologetic authenticity aligns your inner fire with cosmic flow, electrifying your celebrations with sovereign joy. When you stop performing appropriateness, you sync with your natural rhythm, the cosmic pulse that fuels your creativity, clarity, and celebrations. Politically incorrect inspiration becomes the catalyst that turns your life into high-frequency festivals of celebrations. Why politically incorrect inspiration awakens energized listening, maverick questions, instantly rising you a fresh hearkened wisdom. Politically incorrect inspiration shocks your system out of the polite listening and into energized listening. As truth stops being, as your authenticity stops being sugar coated, your awareness snaps awake. Politically incorrect inspiration bypasses passive polite listening and activates a deeper, sharper, energized listening, the kind that hears beneath the words and catches the liberating lingo of the energizing wisdom your conditioning filters out. Politically incorrect inspirations triggers maverick questioning that breaks the mental obedience reflex. Polite thinking produces polite questions, the kind that keep you stuck. Politically incorrect inspiration sparks bold maverick questioning that challenges assumptions, disrupts inherited scripts, and opens new cognitive pathways. That's where fresh insight rushes in, invigorating your now. As politically incorrect inspirations instantly lifts you onto to hearken fresh, energizing wisdom by dissolving the filters that kept truth muted and opens up your visionary veracity. Politically incorrect inspiration removes the emotional and cultural filters that dull your perceptions. Without those filters, wisdom rise fast, clean, and electrifying. You rise into clarity because nothing is blocking the signal anymore. While politically incorrect inspiration energizes energetic liberation, autonomous expansion, liberating lingo, outlaw optimism, expressing revolutionary revelations. Politically incorrect inspiration jumpstarts energetic liberation by breaking the polite limits that mute your autonomous expansion. When you stop censoring your authenticity to fit cultural correctness, your energy stops shrinking and starts surging. Politically incorrect inspiration frees your inner circuitry from emotional obedience, activating raw, unfiltered, sovereign expansion that polite programming suppresses you within. It fuels outlaw optimism, the kind that refuses inherited limits and speaks in pure, liberating lingo. Politically incorrect inspiration gives you permission to innovate boldly, speak freely, and innovate without apology. The voltage becomes outlaw. Optimism is the rebellious belief that you it's a rebellious optimism that you can write your script, route your destiny, and rise beyond every inherited ceiling. It unleashes revolutionary revelations by dissolving the emotional filters that kept your brilliance muted. When you stop performing appropriateness, your intuition, imagination, insight stop whispering and start roaring and yelling your talents to you. Politically incorrect inspiration clears the static, letting revolutionary revelations flow through you with clarity, confidence, and cosmic swagger. And something I've discovered in my own life with politically incorrect inspiration, it shuts off the cognitive recollections from yesterday and opens up the way for you to experience your now in a natural way. But it's liberating. And it also gives you the courage to look life in the eye with an autonomous audacity and understand you are the captain of your ship. You're the rider of your Bronx. but you're most of all, you're the audacity to enjoy life your way. And I want to thank you. I am Robert A. Wilson, and I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and may your life always be blessed.